Hello, welcome to Breakfast Central this beautiful Monday morning here on News Central Television. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. I did. It was a very celebratory weekend for us long-suffering Newcastle United fans. Finally, we won a trophy after 70 years. Quite impressive things there. So I have a bit of a bounce to my step this morning. I am Benga Bora. We're going to bring you a very packed show today. So many things happening across the country with regards to news and political discussions and so many other things. So stay with us for the best of your mornings.
Congratulations to all the Newcastle fans, to Benga and the rest of them watching this morning. I am Olive Emodi. But beyond Newcastle, there's celebration in other camps. For example, for us here at News Central, it's Celebration Gala because over the course of the weekend, News Central won an award. And we, of course, were given the award of fastest rising TV station. And you will agree with us that, of course, we are the fastest growing broadcast station in 2024. Thank you to the Independent Awards for granting us this honor, recognizing the hard work that we put, bringing the stories, going into the field to dig up the stories that matter. Benga?
CNN, watch your back. I mean, this is well deserved. I can regard myself as a foundational member.
Ooh, that's
Amechi.
Amazing.
And I mean, look at the stellar stuff there. There's so many people you don't see on screen. They're behind the magic that happens.
Absolutely. So we can see Rosemary.
Dedicated.
We can see Mr. K, our MD. We saw Donald. But great work to the team. Beyond the faces that you see, like for example on breakfast, you see my face, you see Benga's face, you see Joe's face, but there are a team of people, a number of people behind the scenes. We don't see who get to put in the work.
There are amazing people behind the scenes, like
I see what you did there.
People like Deba,
Lakumi, Joe Hansen, our producers. Just want to say a big thank you to everyone who makes us look good. Our STOs. It's really a collective effort for us to be able to show up and do our job.
I mean, I feel like I'm giving an award. I mean, how can I forget Ben in all this shout out we're giving? But
please, this one that we started calling names. All the people whose names we didn't call, please have mercy on us. People should not tear Breakfast Central apart. We're very sorry. But want to say thank you to every single person who shows up every day to ensure that we do the job, that we look good whilst doing the job, and that we're adequately prepared. And just to say to our viewers, we cannot talk about this award without talking about our viewers. Those of you who tune in every morning, those of you who reshare our content on X and all the social media platforms, you are a key part of this award. So as we're celebrating this award, we hope that you're celebrating as well. I want to say thank you for constantly sharing our content, creating awareness of the fantastic offer that we have. So thank you to our viewers. Thank you to all the social media bigwigs. And just thank you, everyone. And congratulations to us. Cheers to more awards. All right.
Okay, and so looking at wake-up conversations, something, these days things go viral for the slightest reasons, and I think it's the politicization of it. What am I talking about? I'm sure a number of you have seen this video of a National Youth Service Corps member, NYSC, it's a tongue twister, this morning criticizing the policies and the precedent for the cost of living crisis. She was really passionate about her discussion and very emotional, but it's led to lots of criticisms. But let's listen to what she said.
So overwhelmed, and I feel like if a lot of Nigerians come out and start speaking on what we are actually going through, then maybe changes will be made in the government. Don't you guys think? And this video, I just want to say to our president, I don't know if there have been any other president that is terrible, but you are such a terrible president. It is so hard. So I'm coming from the supermarket where I went to get foodstuffs, and everything has gone up again. It's just like every single week prices increase. I want to know, what is the government doing about this increment? Is there going to be a particular time where prices will stop going up? Is there going to be a particular time where things are going to go back? Guys, why am I going to get a crate of egg and they're telling me it is 6.5? It doesn't make any sense that egg will cost 6.5. Like, I literally can't remember when egg used to cost 800. And I'm so overwhelmed because this is is literally my first time doing this adulthood thing alone. This is my first time moving out of my family house. This is my first time living by myself. And not just that, after I left the supermarket and I got home, my security is bringing NEPA bill, and NEPA bill has gone up by 2 times. Like, it's insane. I can't keep up with these bills. I am so overwhelmed and I'm so exhausted. Every single money that I have been making, I'm using it to pay bills. I don't even get to live properly. The craziest thing was, you want to go out to a certain location with your friends, and Uber is about 25,000. Like, even Uber, that we can't even take Uber. It is crazy. Like, why are things so expensive? And let's not even Lagos stinks. Lagos smells like shit. If you say, okay, I want to take a walk, I'm depressed, let me just take a walk, you can't even take a walk. Like, the place smells like crazy. Why does an entire state smell like this? And what is the government doing about the bad smell? Everything is just so overwhelming. You want to start up a business, and now you have to take a loan to start up a business, and the loan, you don't even know if you can actually repay it, because in the business, I don't know, I'm just so tired. Like, why is no one saying anything about it? Being an NYSC copper, there's nothing beneficial about this whole NYSC thing. The money I spend on transportation is just more than the alawi the government gives me. Like,
emotional take there by
Rita Uche. Yeah, with the handle talk to right. Now, I think the first things first is Gen Z will sell this country. Gen Zs, you know, the one thing you can't take away from them is their courage, their confidence. If you do anyhow, you will see anyhow. With Gen Zs, you will always collect.
Yeah, very vocal.
You know, very vocal. We see them, we've seen the role that they played, even at the 2020 protest, the NSAS protest. We saw the way they were championing.
We saw the video. Counterparts in Kenya too.
Exactly. So Gen Zs are a different crop, and I'm hoping that our political leaders can see that the whole thing of, oh, don't speak back when your elders are talking, it won't work with Gen Zs. That's one. Secondly, a number of the criticism we're seeing is that they're asking if she has a right to criticize the government, because they're assuming that the civil service laws apply to NYSC. So there's been a bit of argument as to what laws apply here, and if she's allowed to criticize the government as an NYSC core member. They're saying that the NYSC is paramilitary. We've seen those who argue for, those who have argued against NYSC being or not being paramilitary, and having or not having the right to criticize the government. She's also said she did play a recorded conversation with someone who's alleged to be from the NYSC, threatening her to take down the video and ask her, do you know who you are talking to? Am I your mate? Again, that doesn't work with Gen Z. The reports have it that she's been asked to report to our local government this morning.
Today, Monday morning.
This Monday morning at 10 a.m. She's accused the NYSC of trying to get her address, saying that they have her details, and that if anything happens to her, they should hold NYSC responsible. A number of key voices have spoken up in her support. One of them is Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Okay, see, these are some of the people who sent her DM saying, Lagos State government is looking for you. You know, there are different people who had sent her messages.
Even Amnesty International
absolutely. So Amnesty International has spoken up in her support. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar talked about her being brave and, you know, being likened her to Margaret Ekpo and countless other women who have stood for good governance, who have stood for defense of the common youth. We've seen Renu Oduala speak in her support. Mr. Macaroni as well has spoken in her support. But then again, the thing is, what next? What are the next steps? And these things she's talking about.
Like, you know, Nigeria, everything has to be politicized, and it's very, very unfortunate. We can't see things in terms of just black and white. Look at Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, just to score political point, mentioning people like Margaret Ekpo, Hajia Gambo Sawaba. With due respect, sir, it's not that deep. I mean, she was just in feelings at that moment, and rightfully so. It was her feelings. It's a reality, and she expressed it the way she could have for her age, her exposure, and who she is. And there are lots of issues to unpack.
No, he's applauding her now. He's applauding her.
Yeah, I know. But so he didn't have to bring in all those Margaret Ekpo and Nnamdi Azikiwe. It's unnecessary. Olive, today is Monday. Please, let's call spade what it is. And then you mentioned something about the civil service rules. Coppers are not civil servants. They don't have a letter of employment from the government, so I don't think it applies to them. And either way, the overall constitution supersedes, I believe, the Civil Service Act, because the Nigerian Constitution, Section 39, guarantees you freedom of expression. So I believe she's covered. There's no big deal here. I wonder how we just love to make a mountain out of a molehill.
Okay.
The real issues here about the cost of the the core of the discussion should be on the rising
cost of living. So I
which
think
is
there are two
affecting
areas that I
everyone.
want to look at this conversation from. First, the truth or otherwise of her statement. Is there really, like you've mentioned, is there really a rising cost of living? Are people struggling to make ends meet? It is the truth. People are having a really hard time being able to balance things out. People don't know where their next meal is coming from. What she has expressed is her reality, and quite frankly, the reality of a number of Nigerians who, unfortunately, I mean, just yesterday I was complaining about my data. I subscribed to 100 gig, and I think in a week or so I was like, what's going on with my data?
Is it that network that I think it is?
I don't. We'll talk about the network. But I was just complaining. I was complaining about my power last week, about how I loaded power at the start of the month, and by the 13th of the month thereabout, it was exhausted, and I had to buy another one. So now the average Nigerian is complaining about that. But beyond the cost of living, I hope it also raises a conversation about the need for NYSC or not. I have always said that I do not see the benefit of NYSC.
No, I'm an advocate for NYSC.
And you will tell me why you're an advocate of NYSC, because the essence of NYSC, it came as a result of, it was a post-Civil War movement to ensure the unity of Nigerians. Right now, if certain people are posted to certain parts of the country, they are kicking against it because they're like, I don't want them to kidnap my child. If they post your child to certain parts of the country, you will stand against it. People are trying to rework their NYSC for their kids to be closer to home. It then defeats the purpose. When you go for the, what's that thing called? When we go to camp, orientation. The first few weeks, honestly, I said when I got to camp that I felt like it was punishment for going to university. From the gates, they are telling you to carry your box on your head, to do frog. Dude, I went to school for 5 years. I went through strike. One of the years I had strike for 7 months. Is this the punishment for going to school for 5 years?
You'd rather take that NYSC punishment than 1 year of compulsory military service for over 18s in Norway, in Israel, in South Korea and Singapore. So maybe a reform of the NYSC. So
yes, if it's going to stay, I would say that there should be a reform of it, because even the way in which a number of them are staying, people have to have their bath outside. It just feels like the quality of life that we're not asking for 5-star hotel treatment. People are just asking to be treated like decent human beings. You go to a place, you have a decent bed to sleep in, you have a decent room to sleep in, your allowances are paid. The conversation about some 7,000 naira is still a conversation to be had. So again, I hope it brings up the conversation about whatever reforms need to be done within the National Youth Service Corps, or again, like some people have advocated, it should be optional. People should decide if they want to do it. Another shade, people have said that we're in a country where you need NYSC certificate to get a job, but you don't need NYSC certificate to be president. But that's a conversation for another day. But we'll bring you updates regarding the young woman and what the NYSC is saying about it as soon as we get more information. But let's move away to Rivers State, where it doesn't seem like things are calming down. Ijaw Wike has come under fire, and we did see a response by Asari Dokubo. We've seen a number of Ijaw leaders speaking up against how they have said that he referred to the Ijaw people denigrating the Ijaw heritage. And let's take a look at the video of Asari Dokubo.
That drunkard Wike knows. Yeah, they said we will not come. If we are coming, will you come, Wike?
Oh, they will not come.
You will not come. Just this man, Alhaji Dogwasari is not coming. People are not coming. So you come. Sino Foranga quickly the Boswa. You are making mouth. You are shooting tear gas at unarmed women. You are shooting gun at unarmed women. All you wanted to lure me. Boma in her capacity as a woman, without the police, why didn't you confront her? Was it the job of police to shoot tear gas at unarmed women? Where in any civilized society is that done? You are daring Ijaw people. And those of you who are disgraced, somebody who abused you, out of the abundance of the heart, your problem to him and leave it there. He's going to, who is in Ijaw Wike? I have restrained myself. Who is in Ijaw Wike? Who is he? What has he done before other than stealing government money? Where has he worked? What is his pedigree? Who is his father? Who are his fathers from generation to generation? Who know them? He's talking of Ben violence. If anybody had benefited from this corrupt Nigerian system, is that idiot calling Ijaw Wike? He lies, he talks, he's grandstanding because people live it. They failed. Oh, they shot tear gas at my sister. I'm going to come. They did not see me.
Many statements were made in that video. He, of course, accused Ijaw Wike of firing tear gas at women. I think in response, that statement is in response to another video that was made and posted by someone who alleged that Ijaw Wike had deployed policemen and army men to disperse them, that they were attacked, they were unarmed and they were attacked, and that about 2 or 3 of their women were admitted in the hospital in Degema. And part of the conversation is, does Ijaw Wike have the power to deploy the police? Does he have the power to deploy the military? Whilst there are issues and there are arguments, that they would position or that they would put forward for and against Ijaw Wike and his actions and the influence he may or may not wield in Rivers State. We also have to be clear with the fact: could he have solely been the one to insist or to deploy the police or to deploy the military? Again, Asari Dokubo, it's quite interesting to see him speaking up against Ijaw Wike. Many have asked him if he's enjoying the administration that he forcefully installed. He was very much in support of the administration, but now he's speaking up against Ijaw Wike, forgetting that Ijaw Wike is also an employer, or an employee, rather.
He's not just speaking up against
of the current administration.
He's been critical of the government.
He has been critical of the government, and the question is, at what point did this change? And does he have a right now to speak against the government, especially when he was one of the people in the forefront to push for it? But we'll talk about this much later in details when we explore our top stories. Speaking of top stories, let's share with you what our top stories today are on Breakfast Central. Wike dares Fubara amidst Rivers State crisis, and the drama continues to unfold. Asari Dokubo counters Wike's speech and warns of consequences. What are these consequences? We'll find out shortly. And members incurring losses. Ipman decries NNPCL Dangote price war. And then we'll also be looking at communities suffer as Gyauro Dam remains shut for years. Away from that, we'll be reviewing the newspaper front pages where we open the phone lines and you get to have your say on any of the big stories we're looking at. Join us for all these and more.
Now, several Ijaw groups, including a former Niger Delta dictator turned traditional ruler, Asari Dokubo, have condemned a recent comment by former Rivers State Governor and current FCT Minister Ijaw Wike, describing Ijaw people as a minority in Rivers State and other South-South states, except in Bayelsa.
The bias cannot be the greatest. He cannot. Every time you hear this, he just said this, he just didn't say this. What kind of system are we talking about? When people do something to bring everybody together, you appreciate it. In fact, when I brought this governor, they said no, he's not the real job. They said no, the real job. If you are talking about his job, he should come to the cannabis. But how can you say if they want to give governor to his job, it should be a purple? You see the problem that we're in. And you close your eyes, you did it. All those who fought me, who said, no, we cannot accept this, are the ones parading themselves, hanging around him, taking his money, What you have done today is to tell the world all this noise in the radio is not the real thing. You are the Calabaris, you are your Ijaw Nation, and you are receiving me today. What I said on my interview, people will want to misinterpret. Whatever they want to misinterpret is their business. What I said is this, and I want to repeat it. We are all working together. If we don't work together, it will be difficult to produce a government. Myself with people who wanted to be governor, whom I said no, these people don't need work for Rivers State. Now they are the ones surrounding you, giving you advice. Why do you think you will succeed? They will give you back and see what the bad advice is doing to you. You already done 2-0.
2-0 indeed. Now, this of course resulted in protest against a reception held in honor of the minister in Abalama, Asari Toru local government area of Rivers State. Many have accused the former governor of Rivers State of allegedly inciting violence, stating that Wike's remarks desecrated the dignity of the Ijaw Nation and undermines Governor Siminalayi Fubara's authority.
Today the world will see that I'm Comrade Allen Gabriel, Speaker of Joint Council, IYC Parliament. You can see that we have shown our bravery. Ijaw people are not cowards. We told them we are having an emergency congress and we came for the congress. They mobilized over 500 security personnel shooting directly at us. We are not deterred. This is just the beginning. Even so Wike cannot, is too small to intimidate Ijaw people. Ijaw people are never minority. Ijaw people are the majority in Rivers State, and majority, we have paid the ultimate price with our blood, making sure that we have all the intervention agencies that we have today in the Niger Delta. It is the price paid by Ijaw people. What we have done today, they shot at us, live ammunition, our women are injured, critically in the hospital, but we are carrying the world. We don't know what will happen next. They have just done what they have done, but we have done what we are Ijaw people. And what we said that as a one to die, is a spirit that can never die.
Speaking at the event, Nyesom Wike blamed Governor Siminalayi Fubara for the ongoing political crisis in the state, accusing him of ignoring advice and surrounding himself with ingrates. Meanwhile, the Rivers State House of Assembly has accused Governor Siminalayi Fubara of stalling the 2025 budget by failing to properly present the appropriation bill despite a Supreme Court ruling. Assembly spokesperson Dr. Enemi George denied receiving any letter from the governor and challenged him to provide proof. Lawmakers claimed that the attempts to communicate with Fubara were ignored, warning that the delay could disrupt essential state services. Joining us now to discuss River State politics and the outrage following Nyesom Wike's statement is the National President, Ijaw National Congress, who will be joining us, Benjamin Okaba. I would also be joined by the River State Assistant to the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, on Public Communication and New Media, Larry Olayinka. But we'll delve into the conversation right after this break. Welcome back to Breakfast Central to explore what's happening in Rivers State and the drama between the current president and the former, current governor, I beg your pardon, and the former governor. We have the National President, Ijaw National Congress, Benjamin Okaba, joining us. Good morning, Mr. Okaba. Thank you for joining us. All right, we're also joined by the Senior Special Assistant to the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, on Public Communications and New Media, Larry Olayinka. Good morning, Mr. Olayinka. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
It seems like Mr. Wike has, stirred a lot of issues, in the media recently. But let's get your thoughts regarding, he's been doing a lot of speaking and addressing media. The media parley has stirred a lot of dust. But let's get your thoughts regarding why he thought it was important to have that media parley.
Well, you see, in a democracy, in a democracy like this, when you are in government, when you are running politics, it is always very good to talk to the people, get the people to inform the people, talk to the people by yourself as to situations. Let questions, burning issues be raised. Let journalists ask you questions. Not that you just sit on camera like some people do, or you just sit before camera like some people do and begin to talk. You could see that at least on every occasion it brings like 5, 6, 7 top journalists in this country to ask him questions on issues, and he provide answers to them. So, like it is in governance, communication is important. In politics too, communication is important, and that is what he does. When he was governor too, he did that almost every time. And since his assumed office as minister, he has been doing it. So it is part of it. It is his way of associating with people. It is his way of relating with people, getting people to know what is happening to him in terms of governance and in terms of politics. Simple.
All right, and it does seem that in that media parley, a lot of conversations were had about Rivers State as well. And part of the reactions that we saw to that was that why is the Minister of the FCT so particularly interested in the affairs happening in Rivers State, as opposed to primarily and squarely facing what's happening in the FCT, which also needs a lot of attention?
Well, it's from Rivers State. His politics is Rivers State, and he's a politician. He's also a stakeholder, a major one for that matter, in Rivers State. So you cannot now say because he's Minister of FCT, he should now suddenly become Abuja politician. He is not. He goes to Rivers State almost every, like at least twice in a month sometimes. He was there on Friday, he came back almost immediately on Saturday. So you cannot say why he's interested. He has people. He has political followership in Rivers State. He has political family in Rivers State that are looking up to him for political leadership. He cannot abandon them. And you cannot say that, oh, okay, let me say, because President Tinubu is not president of Nigeria today now, he should no longer be interested in the politics of Lagos State. He should no longer be interested in what is happening in other parts of the country.
But President Tinubu, we don't see him speaking as actively, even though he might be involved behind the scenes. We don't see him sort of being in the forefront of the politics happening in Lagos State.
And isn't it a distraction?
Because he's the president. Last week, he had a meeting with members of the House of Assembly of Lagos State, and he spoke there. He's the president, and there's no issue. As we are saying in Rivers State. Every day, those in Rivers State, those with the governor there, who do they abuse? Who do they talk to? Who has the governor organized people on social media to be abusing since like going to 2 years? Is it not wicked? Every day, even me that I'm here, they have organized people who that every day. What they do is wait for me to post on the social media, and they go there, rain abuses, do curses and all that. But so the issue is this side and this side. And like I've always said, I don't always like us to restrict conversation to individual. What is also the governor doing? What is his people doing? Has the governor stopped mentioning the name of Wike? Has he stopped mentioning the name of this Wike? Wike is the one doing this. Then again, is it Wike that made the governor to turn Rivers State to a state without government, as clearly stated by the Supreme Court? Because Supreme Court said Rivers State, as of even now, has no government. And that is what I believe we journalists will begin to also look into and ask questions. Because the apex court in this country said that up till now, Rivers State has no government. That up till now, the Supreme Court also went to the extent of describing the governor as lawless. When you say a governor is lawless, going to the extent of insinuating or even accusing the governor of setting or burning the House of Assembly complex. These are issues we should begin to look into, not what Wike said or what Wike did not say.
Okay.
I believe that
Thank you, Mr. Olayinka. I'd like to bring in our second panelist into this conversation, the National President of the Ijaw National Congress, Benjamin Okaba. A warm welcome to you once again, sir, and thanks for joining us this morning. Now, this political crisis in Rivers State has been going on for quite some time, and quite frankly, people think it is just Fubara versus Nyesom Wike fight, and the ordinary people of Rivers State are caught in the crosshairs. The FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, has positioned himself as the dominant force in Rivers State and has openly declared Governor Siminalayi Fubara as being down by 2-0. To what extent is this crisis about governance, and how much of it is about Wike maintaining control over the state's political structure?
Thank you very much. Yesterday I did mention that it is time Nigerians begin to have a broader look at what is going on. I said it's a class struggle, a struggle between the bourgeois, the few bourgeois, those who wish to and are doing so to control power at all costs. It's about who takes over the resources of this country ahead of 2027. It is about a ruling class that wants to maintain control, perfect control of the political economy of not just Rivers State, but from Rivers State they will move to other places so that ultimately we shall be having a one-state nation and the masses on the other side. So that is why in this divide, you have people across ethnic groups, you have people across religious groups. What is the dividing factor is just the interest, the political interest. That is the dividing factor. It's not about Wike and Fubara. They just represent individuals who belong to these two groups. Now, when you say that Wike told Fubara that is 2-0. Yes, it is possible that Wike has won 2 battles, but he has not won the war. He cannot win the war. At the end of the day, the war will be won by the people and not those minority persons who think that they must grab power. This is about democracy. Democracy is about the people. It's not about the fostering of individual interest. And that is what is playing out now. I heard the young man say that everybody is talking about Wike and all that. We are not interested in him because we know that he's only playing the script of some persons out there. It's only playing the script of people.
Mr. Okaba,
at the end of the day,
Mr. Okaba, you say you're not interested in Wike because you know he's playing the script of some persons. What do you mean? And who are these persons you think that are the ones that have written the script Nyesom Wike is playing?
Okay, just imagine a scenario where a former governor of a state, not for any official function, because some persons felt they should do a Thanksgiving. He has right to do Thanksgiving everywhere. The Calabari Council of Chiefs, the owners of the land, if people have respect for traditional rulers, did mention that for certain reasons, for some intelligence, this do not hold at this time to avoid crisis. But this guy came with the military mind, who gave him the permission to come with a helicopter that was over a community that was peace, and to provoke reaction from people. But thank God, so who gave him all of that? Now, even when the traditional rulers have said, please, don't come, it's desperado. Will Wike visit that community if he was not minister, if he was not surrounded or supported by the federal government, if he was not assured with federal might? Will he visit that community? Who is Wike outside power? Outside power. Who is Wike outside power? These are questions people should ask.
Are you in essence
that the script is playing is of the bourgeois. Whoever belongs to that bourgeois class. It's not about Rivers State. They are all over. They are from the judiciary to the Senate to the presidency. They are all over, even down there. That is why we have told people, don't see this as an ethnic war. It is not a war between the Ijaw and Ikwere people, because there are so many Ikwere people that are in support of Simlai. There are so many. We have Ijaws also who are also working with. In fact, they are more the camp of Wike. The Ijaws are even more serious. So it's not an ethnic war. When the impeachment this thing was signed, the first 6 persons that signed were all Ijaw people. So we have never seen this as with the ethnic coloration it just brought in to deviate, to divert people's attention. If not, it's a class war. It's a terrible class war between those who have already got to power and want to perpetuate power. They want to get rid of all the resources, and their business is not about governance. Their business is that they should be in power, perpetuate power, dictate to the tune of issues. That is why a man who is a registered member of PDP is destroying the PDP. Destroying the PDP. Working for the opposition party. Going to take a position in the opposition party, that could happen. But must you destroy the party that brought you because you have you felt offended by some persons? Where is the ideology? You stand APC.
Thank you, Mr. Okaba. I would like to bring in Mr. Liri Olainka into this conversation. Mr. Olainka, I'd like you to respond to some of the accusations leveled by Mr. Okaba, saying your principal, the Minister of the FCT, is working in the interest of others, is playing a destabilization role in Rivers State. How do you respond to these allegations?
Well, I'm not in the business of responding to allegations. Anybody can talk. Anybody can make allegations. Anybody can make insinuation. I'm in the business of talking about facts, figures, and what all of us can see. You see, it is easier for us to whip up sentiment, to draw emotion. It doesn't matter.
Now let's emotion talk about. I'm happy you mentioned facts. Yes.
Listen, when the other person was talking, you did not interrupt him. You did not. So it is easier to whip up sentiment. The issue here are very clear. They are very clear. There should not be this. The issue here is that Supreme Court gave judgment. Supreme Court made pronouncement. Supreme Court said up to this period there is no government in Rivers State. How do we now get government restored in Rivers State? That is what we should be talking about. It is not about Wike said this, Fubara said this, the other person was talking about political bourgeois. Is Fubara not part of the bourgeois? Who brought him to power? The bourgeois. The so-called bourgeois, those he is referring to as bourgeois. They brought him to power. So he's also on his own side a bourgeois. So we should not come and be telling us that somebody is an underdog here, somebody is here. We have gone past that level. The level that we are is there are pronouncements made by the Supreme Court. One, Rivers State has no valid budget. And the budget should be presented to the House of Assembly. 2, Rivers State has only 5 validly appointed commissioners as of today. 5 validly appointed commissioners. Fubara should send names of other commissioners to the House of Assembly for screening and confirmation. Those are the issues. Now, the local government election was nullified. The Supreme Court, the Constitution says that only elected people should govern local government. Fubara has gone ahead to say civil servants or elected people should be governing River State local government. That is illegal. That is what I think journalists, Nigerians should be talking about. Not about who said this, who didn't say this, who said this. We have gotten, like I said, we have gone past that level. The level is let the pronouncement of the Supreme Court be obeyed, be implemented. It is a simple matter.
Okay, Mr. Loika, let's talk.
That are talking now. Let me conclude this. These people that are talking now, Wike is this. I read what the Panther people said, that Wike is the one eating off River State, that the president should come and intervene. And I said, this same president once intervened. He intervened. Agreement was reached. People signed. Fubara signed. These other people signed. NSA signed on behalf of the federal government. The moment they left that meeting, what did we start to hear? Hey, President Tinubu has no power to intervene. He's a medullum interloper. He has no power. And so people went to court to say the agreement that was reached to resolve the issue, to bring lasting political peace to River State. They went to court to say court should say the agreement that did not matter. Now they are running to the same president to come and intervene. Intervene as what? Another medicine interloper again? So what I'm saying is that Supreme Court has made judgment. Let that judgment be obeyed completely. That is what we are saying. And some people have also come to tell us that Governor Fubara has decided to obey the Supreme Court judgment. Does he have any option?
No, Mr. Loika,
telling us that someone has decided. He has said that he's obeying. He doesn't have any option. He has lost a war.
Now, Mr. Loika, let's talk about
to negotiate. Simple.
Let's talk about developments in River State since the wake of the Supreme Court judgment, and we wanted to give you a right of response earlier. The Supreme Court, since he passed his judgment, the governor of River State has come out, he held a press conference, said, look, I'm going to obey all the rulings of the Supreme Court, and he's been trying to do that. In his magnanimity, he invited members.
No, Steve, please, my brother, you are a journalist.
Please, can I
use that word magnanimity?
Okay, not magnanimity.
Stop.
I take it back. Can I ask my question, please, sir? Can I ask my question, sir? Okay, the governor reached out to members of the State House of Assembly. He invited them for a meeting, and they refused to. He also tried to present, he wrote them a letter, he tried to present the budget to them. He went to the quarters, and he met, the doors were locked, the gates were locked. He said the speaker has been refusing to take his phone calls. And we also saw the FCT minister's reaction to all of that. He said, yes, they have a right to shut their doors. His tone wasn't reconciliatory. It's almost like there's a concerted effort not to allow the governor, or to frustrate the efforts of governor to fulfill the ruling of the Supreme Court. What do you make of this?
As a journalist yourself,
okay,
are you not aware of the process of a governor going to the House of Assembly? Does a governor just wake up in the morning, wear his clothes, and just carry budget on his head and go to the House of Assembly to present?
But he had represented the budget and asked, he had represented the letter. If you're criticizing the fact that he didn't wait.
What I'm saying is that he had presented a letter.
Yeah, he should have waited. He should have waited for them to call him.
The first time that he went, did he inform the House of Assembly? We saw a letter that he said he wrote. Where is the evidence that that letter was delivered to the House of Assembly?
But he has written another letter.
Let me conclude this. Because Nigerians should know, if a governor or even a president want to go to the House of Assembly, to the National Assembly, president, governor to the House of Assembly, the first thing that is done is to write a letter signed by the governor or president. The letter will be delivered, sent to the speaker. The speaker will read the letter on the floor of the House of Assembly. He will read the letter to his colleague that I've received this letter from the governor. He wants to come, so date. And the colleagues, they will put it to debate, they will debate it, and they will now say, okay, or they will agree, okay, the governor should come on the day he choose, or, okay, it is not convenient for us, it should come on this day.
But he has done that. I mean, these conditions that you're talking about, he has done that again. He has written another letter, and in that letter he said, "It is my pleasure again to notify you, Mr. Speaker." Please, if you allow me, just quickly read this out. He said, "It is my pleasure to again notify you, Mr. Speaker." Mr. Olayinka, please, if you allow me read out this paragraph. "It is my pleasure to again notify you, Mr. Speaker, of my desire and intention to present the 2025 budget to the Rivers State House of Assembly on Wednesday, 19th March 2025 by 11 a.m. or any other date within March 2025 that you may consider convenient."
I saw this letter. That is the way to go. And he wrote this letter after first going to the House of Assembly to play to the gallery or to create social media content.
So I think we have moved past that one. We're talking about how to go forward now.
This letter is the way to go. You understand? That is what he should have done in the first instance. He has done what he should have done now. He has sent a letter to the House of Assembly. I hope that he actually sent the letter to the House of Assembly. If I were him by today, I will put to the public copy of the letter as received by the House of Assembly. We should also see when the letter was delivered to the House of Assembly. If the letter has actually been delivered, because you can actually write a letter, put on social media and go to sleep.
All right, let's bring in Mr. Okaba to the conversation. I mean, we've seen this latest letter. There's been criticism about the first letter that was written and how that has been carried out. But with this new letter, he's supposed to represent the budget in 2 days' time. And he said either the 19th or any other day. So far, we're also hearing reports that the House has adjourned indefinitely. Mr. Okaba, what are your thoughts on what the next steps are and how the House has responded to the actions of the governor in trying to fulfill the judgment of the Supreme Court or obey the judgment of the Supreme Court?
Okay, thank you very much. I listen to my friend. You know, I enjoy his conversations because he's a core realist who is out there to do his job, to service his master. So I congratulate him for his eloquence on this. The objective of the question to ask is, who caused the crisis in Rivers State? They say Fubara is an ingrate. Thank God that the Governor Wike is not the first governor. In the same manner that he has helped Fubara, so many other persons also helped him. And we also know that this is political. Then, talking about the Supreme Court judgment, a lot of persons have picked hole. First and foremost, a Supreme Court should not be just be preemptive or just do a perception. You said Fubara brought down the assembly for fear. How do you assess the fear? Does a Supreme Court judgment be premised on assumption or on the facts? He said for fear. The man said, I needed to do renovation, and you are saying it's for fear. How do you substantiate that? Then beyond that, because it's the Supreme Court, we have to respect the judgment of the Supreme Court because that is the apex body of this court. Now, going forward, the man said, okay, you said my local government elections did not follow a due process. He has set up the date. He has put in motion our local government elections can now be properly conducted according to the rules. We all know the effort of the assembly to frustrate that process, inviting people from there, inviting the members of the district and all that. That tells you whether
we seem to be having
truly have the mind for the development of people. The issue of the the issue of the governor going to present a budget. The Nigerians know what is playing.
We seem to be having some connection issues with Mr. Okaba. We'll try to get back to you. But in the meantime, Mr. Lere Olayinka, given the deepening crisis in Rivers State, and it's taken another dimension, we have a situation where the allocation from the FAC has been withheld by the Supreme Court. What do you think, or what does the minister see as a viable option towards resolving this crisis in Rivers State?
Well, the allocation was stopped for a reason. Allocation was stopped for a reason. If our Fubara, I said it on the TV station last week Thursday. If our aim, the first thing I would do will be to reach out to all the gladiators. If we have been fighting for close to 2 years, you don't expect us almost immediately to become friends. Like I said, the moment you go to war and you lose in a war like Fubara did, you lose all power, all right to negotiate. What you do in that instance is to beg.
Okay, so are you saying that there will not be peace until Governor Siminalayi Fubara comes out to beg?
I'm not saying there will not be peace. What I'm saying is that there is, what I'm still seeing from Fubara is some level of arrogance.
How?
You don't get.
But he did invite them for a meeting, and they refused to see him.
Listen, I'm going somewhere.
Okay.
One, what he did on that Wednesday, going to the House of Assembly, was playing to the gallery, was trying to incite the public against the House of Assembly. Because he himself, in his right conscience, know that he did not go there to present budget. That is one. Number two, the first letter the House of Assembly wrote to the governor, giving it 48 hours. Are you aware that that letter was rejected at the governor's office? It was not received. If I were in, then the next thing the governor did was to lose the secretary to the state government, to write to the speaker, to come to the government house for a meeting. Okay.
If you can clearly say that the governor's office did not receive the letter from the House of Assembly, what proof do you have that the governor did not, in good conscience, go to present the budget?
But when the letter was sent and was not received, the House of Assembly had to use a courier to send it. We have evidence. We have seen evidence of the payment to the courier service to send the letter to the governor.
Okay.
Should things get to that extent?
All right. We'll come back to you, hopefully. Let's quickly bring in Mr. Okaba. I'm sure that he has a response to that.
Yes, thank you very much. You know, you can see all of this based on sentiments. These persons are desperate at impeaching Fubara so that they can capture power. So all these explanations of I call them presumptions, that the governor went there, you now know the intentions of the governor, you now know the mind of the governor, he just went there to do media bravado. It's unfortunate. Let us at this point, this war has gone for too long. Let us come as people that will take the interest of the state, prioritize development of the state, and forget about the sentiments. We had even in the president, where there's cordial relationship, right? Even after several wars, you can come back. You can come back. You have fought these people. The point that, look, let us harmonize human. But in a situation where one man, okay, Supreme Court has made judgment, is Wike the spokesman of Supreme Court? Why is he so desperate? Is he the only stakeholder in Rivers State? If the Supreme Court has done this thing, is he supposed to use that as to control? The man said, I'm going to obey. I'm sure if Wike, it was within his powers, he would have even enforced Supreme Court judgment, because all he's looking for his entire existence right now is about how to bring down Fubara, and all these collaborators with him are doing other. That is why he's everywhere. He has become the spokesperson of Supreme Court. He has become the spokesperson of anybody that is against Fubara. Do we actually need this if we must move forward? Let me tell you, Fubara went there with clear intentions to present the budget. Now, he has said, okay, if you say the first step I took was 40, right? Now, let me take another step. And the same people, sensing that this one, they will be condemned by Nigerians, decided to go on recess Senator. Because what is it? They see it as an apparatus where they can cause chaos, anarchy in River State, so that there will be an imposition of a state of emergency. Now, when you stop allocation to the state, which is an aberration, there's no doubt about that, right? What do you expect? The people will suffer, salaries cannot be paid, oil workers will not be paid, services will go down if River State added internal revenue and robust internal revenue. There will be the hunger. Where is the humanism in all of this? That is why I said earlier that the interest of this group of persons is just to grab power. They can strangulate the masses to death in as much as power is within them. And that is unacceptable. I said it earlier, it's a class war. Yes, my friend did say that therefore Fubara was not a part of the bourgeois. Yes, you can shape class membership transit. You can be a bourgeois, right? And the next day you can change, depending on your conviction. This man had a contract with the people of River State. He is not obliged to service Wike. Wike has left after 8 years of service. He should stay off and do his job as SPT minister. We have many past governors of River State. There are so many. He's not the first past governor. All right. He should behave squarely as a governor that has left office.
Gentlemen, unfortunately, we have to wrap up the conversation here because we're out of time. Mr. Lere Olayinka says if he were still alive for Fubara, he would apologize. We don't know what the next steps are with regards to ensuring that River State moves forward and that the big political figures in the person of the governor and the FCT minister can also find a way, as well as the members of the House of Assembly can find a way to come together to ensure that the people of River State are prioritized. Benjamin Okaba, thank you for joining us. Lere Olayinka, thank you as well for joining us. I look forward to having you again.
Hello?
Thank you.
Right, thank you very much for joining us. We'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be looking at the front pages of the newspapers and then opening the phone line so you can call in to share your thoughts. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central here on News Central Television. It's time for us to find out what big stories are making headlines today. Join us this morning is publisher, the niche newspaper, Ikechukwu Amechi. A warm welcome to you. You had a very busy weekend. We saw you all over the world.
Good morning, Berenga.
Yeah. Good morning.
Olive.
Congratulations too.
Shining as ever.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And congratulations to us again. In case you are just tuning in, we won the fastest growing broadcast station of the year. Let's quickly just chip that in before we start newspaper. All right, let's begin with the Nigerian Tribune. On the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, STP, Sule Lamido tackles El Rufai. If PDP is struggling today, it is still the party that nurtured El Rufai. If he claims PDP is dead, then he must remember that it is the party that gave him the political foundation. Whatever he has achieved today, PDP made it possible. Police inspector kills self in Ogun. Sad. Kabir Akambi, Supreme Court Chief Registrar. Pressure to impeach Plateau Speaker thickens. PENCOM simplifies payment of retirement benefits. NDLEA intercepts cocaine, opioid shipments in prayer beads.
Who does that?
No one should fear God, though.
That's a saying. It's just like people that are making fake schnapps for the gods.
For the gods.
That's why some of the ancestors have not been answering prayers these days.
This is haram. This is terrible.
Very terrible.
Terrible. Opioid shipments are found in prayer beads and others. Resurgence of diphtheria. why it is a public health concern in Nigeria, causes transmission, symptoms, diagnosis, etc. Federal government must stop threatening Nigerians for criticizing government, according to Amnesty International. This, of course, is in relation to the NYC core member who spoke against the government, highlighting the rising cost of living. Ex-SGF, ex-minister among promoters of coalition to challenge APC. Gunmen abduct business wife, daughter in Ondo, demand 20 million naira ransom. Ondo again in the news. That's all on Nigerian Tribune. Let's move to the next paper.
Now let's take a look at the Vanguard newspaper. The headline of the Vanguard newspaper. It says, Naira value depreciates amidst forex outflows. Not very good news there. CBN intervenes with $500 million as Naira depreciates to 1,600 Naira a dollar. Currency dealers lament dollar scarcity, projects further depreciation. Abductors of Ondo businessman, wife, daughter demand 30 million. I think you read that in the other newspaper. We won't follow El-Rufai to SDP, says SDP. And what do we have here? Rivers Government Assembly in war woods over budget presentation, and Serap sues Akpabio over Senator Natasha Akpotu Dragon's suspension. That's all we have on the Vanguard newspapers. I believe we should start with Rivers State because that's where we left off in our conversation. This assembly has gone on recess indefinitely. What do you make of this current standstill the people of Rivers State have found themselves in? This is the latest development.
What is there to make out of what is going on in Rivers State? It is just a part of the madness that we've been talking about all these months, all these things. Look, I don't know how many times I'm going to say this, now for Nigerians to begin to appreciate that we are in a bad place. In the first place, what we are practicing, and I've said this several times, it's not a democracy. We are in a dictatorship. And that is why people are carving out fiefdoms for themselves. What is going on in Rivers State, but don't forget where all this started from. When you don't allow a free and fair election, when only one man comes out to boast that he bought forms for everybody who contested the election in Rivers State, which Wike came out to boast about. When we allow all these kind of indiscretions to go on in a democracy, a system of government that ought to be about the people, who the people want. Even if who the people want turns out to be a fool, in quote, so be it. And that is why periodically you have the opportunity to
elections
to correct whatever mistakes you made in the past election. But we have a situation where only one man wakes up one morning and becomes the state writ large. It was like the King Louis XIV of France, who said, "I am the state." So we have people who approximate the state in every sense of it. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appropriated Lagos since 1999, and nobody is contesting that with him. He has been responsible for what goes on in Lagos State. Wike wants to replicate the same thing in Rivers State. This is what this is all about. It's not about the people. And, you know, this is why...
But we just spoke to his spokesperson. He said it's an interested party. He would be involved. It's responsible enough to want to know how a state is governed and all of that.
Is he more interested than other people? If what is going on in Rivers State is about good governance, if the fight is that, oh, look, I put this man in there and he's not providing the people good governance, you can begin to make all these kind of spurious excuses.
Said he's not loyal, so maybe he's not listening to good advice.
Loyal to who? Loyal to who, for crying out loud? Wike is only a human being, one human being with one vote. In a democracy, Wike's interest should not be larger than the interest of Rivers State. It is not superior to the interest of Rivers people put together. There are about 6 or 7 million people in Rivers State. How can Fubara, not being loyal to one man, be a crime for which Rivers people will suffer the way they are suffering? Look, Olive, sorry. These guys should be very careful, because this is how it started in the 1960s. In the Western region, all the crises that were instigated, obviously, by the federal government, Awolowo and Akintola were fighting. The federal elections went the way they did, and we started having people burning houses, setting people ablaze, the Operation Waitie and the Wild Wild West. Where did it all end up? Idealistic soldiers on January 15, 1966, felt that enough is enough. We can't continue with this crisis everywhere and think that it will end up well. It won't. Unless we define what we want, if we accept that, look, this is an autocracy, fine and good.
Should Similar Fubara apologize?
To who?
Lere Lainka said he should apologize. I was hoping that, unfortunately, we didn't have time.
Put him there in the first place. To the powers that be.
Who are the powers that be? Wike. So, Wike is now Mr. Rivers. Is that what do you call
Lere
it?
Lainka.
Lere is saying. Who should?
And the 27 lawmakers for withholding their salaries for, they say he's not without sin, he's not a saint, for destroying the assembly complex and...
For crying out loud, whatever the Supreme Court may have said. And the Supreme Court is also, a lot of Nigerians are disappointed in the role the courts are playing in the political crisis we have in the country today.
You don't think the justice is blind?
Look, you don't even need to be a lawyer to know that the judgment that the Supreme Court gave was beyond their remit. We are told that the courts are not Father Christmas, and therefore they don't give what we don't ask them to give. But here we are, even things that we are not before them for trial, they went beyond what was before them.
What's an example of that?
Example of that was that the local government election was not an issue before them. In any case, how can you give a judgment? None of those chairmen of the local government, none of them was a party to the case. How can you give judgment like that? The issue of the 27 lawmakers is still in court. It's still in the lower courts. It has not come before the Supreme Court. So why give judgment? And look, that the Supreme Court is now saying, redefining what it means to defect from a political party and who determines whether somebody has defected. It is unfortunate, Gwenga. Look, we continue playing with all these things and think that might is right. Might may be right today, but we are destroying a system, we are destroying a country. Nothing is going on in Rivers State. And all these things are being done in permutation. And that is why even the president is not blameless.
Why do you say that?
Because he knows what the issues are. Look, this is a president who summoned all the Warren parties sometime last year. And there was an agreement that was signed. An agreement that many people felt then and still feel today was against the governor. But the guy had to eat the humble pie, came back, and started implementing. He withdrew the case in court, which was part of the agreement that was reached. Even the president, Supreme Court is saying that these people did not defect. Remember the comment the president made there? The president said that a father does not reject children, that the 27 lawmakers defected into his party, and how is he? How will it sound if he rejects them? So even the president admitted that these people defected to APC. And now the Supreme Court says no.
So I think that's part of the issues, because they are accusing Similar Life Fubara on not upholding his own end of the peace accord that was instituted by the president. And part of what they're saying is that, in the peace accord, they were the indications for the 27 lawmakers was that things will revert to status quo pre the case of status, before them porting to cross-carpeting to the All Progressives Congress, but that he didn't uphold that, in that he now had his own speaker, his own assembly, which was poorly constituted.
What was he supposed to do when the first thing he ought to have done was to withdraw the case? And all the parties were to withdraw their cases. He did. The other party didn't. Instead, they doubled down, which is part of the judgment that the Supreme Court, that ought to know, gave, that the man withdrew his case. And they knew quite well why he withdrew the case. Look, we can't continue playing politics with the fate and the future of Nigeria. If they set River State ablaze, Nigerians know who to hold responsible.
Who is that?
Wike.
Okay. Let's quickly move away from River State. I want us to talk about what's happening with the NYSC. The top of the Nigerian Tribune says, federal government must stop threatening Nigerians for criticizing government, according to Amnesty International. And we know that why they're saying this is because of the young woman who is an NYSC core member, and she's criticized the government. She's called President Bola Ahmed Tinubu terrible, talked about the rising cost of living. So now it has sparked up an argument. Some people are in support of her. Some people have criticized her, said that as long as she's an NYSC core member, she's sort of employed by the government and cannot criticize the government. Let's get your thoughts on that.
How can you say that anybody employed by the government cannot criticize the government? The freedom of speech is a fundamental human right that cannot be taken away. It all boils down to what we are saying, that this government is very intolerant of criticism. We are all here when Goodluck Jonathan was president of Nigeria. Was there anything? This same Bola Tinubu called him a drunken fisherman.
He was the butt of jokes, him and his wife.
They called the wife a hippopotamus. There was nothing they did not say against him. When Bola Tinubu was in opposition, there was nothing, even starting from the Obasanjo era.
I mean, even protests, they actively participated.
There was nothing they did not do against the PDP government. There were protests everywhere. In 2012, when Jonathan removed oil subsidy, marginally, Lagos was shut down until
He reversed
the policy. So, when did it become a crime for somebody to criticize the government? He said what the government is doing. Look, and don't forget, this young lady is a Nigerian who is serving his country. This young lady, they have been promised that they are going to pay them minimum wage of 73,000, which they have not started paying up to now.
I think a lot of people felt, being from a traditional African setting, for you to look at the person of the president and this youth corps using the language, using the word terrible. Maybe if she said the president's policies are terrible, it could have been more manageable. That it's un-African and it's very disrespectful. We've also had people like former President Atiku Abubakar comparing her to Hajiya Gambo Sawaba, Margaret Epo, politicizing and modeling the issues up.
Benga, democracy is not about gerontocracy. It's not about who is old or who is not old. We are
elders. Yeah.
We are not practicing gerontocracy for crying out loud. We have freedom of speech. There was nothing the lady said that you can say was insulting.
Even the word terrible.
Terrible, yes. You're a terrible person could be used in very many ways. It is not
even in football.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If your government is not delivering as it ought to deliver, you are terrible. It is as simple as that. So the lady did not insult the president, and there was nothing she said that should attract this level of sanction that is being meted out to her. But we have a government that is so intolerant that even the slightest criticism, no matter how well-meaning, no matter how constructive, people come at you with a sledgehammer because they want to bushon you.
Don't you find it ironic that this was a government, looking at the president, that was a pro-democracy activist, was part of NADECO, they fought the military, and to have such democratic precedents and also actively participated in protests against former President Goodluck Jonathan, and it's been part of this democratic experience to be so intolerant of criticism?
We like deceiving ourselves in this country, and I've said it here without any act of apology to anybody. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is not a Democrat.
Why do you say that?
He is not. All you have to do is to go and look at his records. A Democrat does not behave the way. He is an autocrat, through and through. He knows it. The people who are with him, they know it. Okay, let's take the simple decision of what is going on in the Rivers State House of Assembly. Democracy should be about the people. In a House of Assembly with 40 members, 36 said, we don't want this man as our speaker.
I mean, Rivers is far. Alausa is just a stone throw from here. We saw what happened weeks ago.
I said Lagos State. A 40-member state House of Assembly, 36 impeached the speaker, and the president had to step in to impose a man who had only 4 members behind him. Is that democracy? Is that the way Democrats work?
He's a shrewd politician, his experience. He knows best.
It is not about being shrewd. Look, we throw these words out there. He is a shrewd politician. He is the best. He's this thing. When people...
He's a political genius.
Okay.
A gladiator.
And Nigeria is the worst for it. The truth of the matter is that whatever it is we claim to practice, whether it is democracy or whatever, is the worst for his genius, is the worst for his shrewdness, is the worst for his adroitness, is the worst for his political nimbleness, is the worst for...
So what's the way out of politics of godfatherism in Nigeria across the country if we don't take care of poverty and hunger? Because the moment somebody appears to be more financially successful than you, that means they're a better human being than you. That means they can tell you what to do and control you. When do we have? Why is this political freedom so tied to finances?
And the question you need to ask, let's look at it from another perspective. This poverty, what we're experiencing is weaponization of poverty.
You think it's a deliberate effort?
It is deliberate, because when the people are financially and economically liberated, you can't control them the way they are doing right now. So what you see is that even the politicians themselves, when they are out of power, they are taking off from whatever gives them money. And therefore, every 1 million you flash there, people are prepared to follow you. My people have a saying, they say that the goat follows a man who carries the palm frond. So the political leaders, those you call shrewd politicians, they have all cornered Nigeria's resources to themselves. They all have the money. They all have billions. Have you ever asked yourself, there are some of these politicians today who are geniuses, who are whatever, that have not done anything.
No enterprise.
Since 1999, apart from being local government chairman, being this, being that, they have been in government. So where did they get the money from? That they are now multi-billionaires. Some are even inching towards being trillionaires. Where did they make the money from? And nobody asks questions, and because there are no consequences for bad action. I've argued this several times. As long as occupancy of Asorok gives our leaders life immunity from being accountable, all this nonsense won't stop. Because if this were to be in a country like South Korea, leaders behave themselves because they know
Once you are done.
that once you are done, there is accountability.
It's a day of reckoning.
There is a day of reckoning. People ask you, what have you done with the power, with the trust that was invested in you? But here, you do whatever you want to do.
Here we depend on heaven and nemesis.
4 years,
And Shango.
4 years down the road, 8 years down the road, we are walking the streets and people know the crimes, how heinous these crimes were. And nobody can prosecute you because you have become a god.
So at the end of the day, it goes back to the legislature, and then one wonders if that will ever happen. But then again, they seem to all be working hand in hand. Is why we've had many rubber stamp assemblies, and I don't know if that will be something that we'll be hoping to happen in the nearest future.
There is no legislature in the states and even now at the federal level. Under Obasanjo, we had what could be likened to separation
Right, of powers.
There was friction, yeah.
of powers. The first term of Buhari, we had Bukola Saraki as the Senate president, and there was a semblance of the National Assembly asserting itself. But of course, when Buhari came back for the second term and brought Ahmed Lawan, the National Assembly became a rubber stamp.
And the rubber stamp has been continuing
And
for
it is even worse
All right.
today. Even Akpabio said it. that-
Akpabio led the chant for "On Your Mandate We Shall Serve."
Well,
Exactly.
in fact, Plateau House of Assembly is another conversation that I'm hoping we can have at a later date.
And
because I
the
want to-
judiciary has also. So now we have only one center of power, and that's the president.
Right.
And the presidency. There is no judiciary, there is no legislature, and we continue to have this mess. And the mess will continue to deepen until we get to such a time, that's something we give.
Well,
thank you very much.
We have to wrap up now. We'll go on a break, and when we come back, we have more. Thank you, Ikechukwu Amici, for joining us. We'll come back to look at our next story right after this break.
My fellow Nigerians, we must speak the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it makes us. The decision by the governors of Bauchi, Kebbi, Kano, and Katsina states to shut down schools for 5 whole weeks, 5 invaluable weeks of learning under the guise of Ramadan observance, is not just misguided, it's an outright assault on our children's future. Let's be clear, education is not a luxury, it's a lifeline. It is the foundation upon which nations rise, the weapon that destroys poverty, the light that pierces through the darkness of backwardness. Yet, in Nigeria, our leaders treat it like an inconvenience, like a switch they can flip on and off at will. And to justify this folly in the name of religion, that's the greatest deception of all. In leading Islamic nations like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, and Egypt, schools do not close for Ramadan. These countries recognize that education and faith complement each other, ensuring that learning continues alongside religious observance. Why then do our leaders choose to do the opposite? Why do they sacrifice the future of our children on the altar of political manipulation masquerading as religious piety? Have these governors even stopped for a moment to consider the damage they inflicted? Do they care that students preparing for WAEC and NECO are being thrown into unnecessary chaos? Northern Nigeria is already educationally disadvantaged. It accounts for 69% of the country's 13.2 million out-of-school children. That is over 9 million young souls deprived of a future. In the Northeast and Northwest, less than half of young girls even get to attend primary school. The National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, has strongly opposed this decision, and rightly so. Even respected Islamic scholars have emphasized that Ramadan is a period of spiritual growth and hard work, not a justification for stagnation. So why have these governors chosen this path? Will they reflect on the consequences of their action? History suggests they won't, because leadership requires courage and the decision reeks of indifference. The people of Bauchi, Kebbi, Kano, and Katsina must see this for what it is. It's a betrayal of the children's right to education, a betrayal of progress, and a betrayal of the values they claim to uphold. Good morning, Nigerians.
The ongoing price war between Dangote Refinery and NNPCL has led oil marketers to slash their fuel purchases due to mounting losses. Stakeholders say the price cuts benefit Nigerians but hurt oil marketers who lose an estimated 2.5 billion naira daily. Now here's what you should know. Last week, the Petroleum Products Retail Outlets Owner Association of Nigeria, Petron, raised concerns over the impact of fluctuating price of fuel. Since November 2024, petrol prices have dropped from 990 naira to 825 naira per litre, driven by competition and lower crude oil prices. Marketers are now calling for regulated price adjustments every 6 months to prevent financial losses.
Meanwhile, the landing cost of imported petrol has now fallen below Dangote's price, intensifying competition. Experts predict that if crude oil prices drop further, petrol prices in Nigeria could fall to 500 naira per litre. Join us this morning to discuss this further is oil and gas expert George Brown. Good morning, Mr. Brown, and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central.
Can you please unmute your device? We're struggling to hear you.
Yes, we're struggling.
Okay, we can hear you now, please.
Now, Mr. Brown, we've seen this back and forth, this this stiff competition between all marketers, which Nigerians are happy to pay lower gas prices for. What are the long-term implications of this for Nigeria's downstream petroleum sector?
Okay, thank you. I hope you can hear me very well.
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
If you may please turn down the volume of your TV set. There's an
Can you turn off your TV set?
Yes, it's affecting, or whatever device you're watching from.
The beauty of competition is what we are experiencing. Yes, the beauty of competition and a free market economy in the downstream sector is what we are experiencing. And Nigerians should be the happiest for what is happening right now. We need to ask ourselves some pertinent questions. Why is Petro coming out to tell Nigerians that they want a pegging of the price for a specific period? It's just simply because they are finding it difficult to adjust to the present realities that are market-driven. We said it before Dangote commissioned the refinery, that it will deepen competition, it will expand the market, and it will allow Nigerians have options. And those options are what we are enjoying today. However, we are meant to understand clearly that the subsidy was actually a scam. How come imported products, the landing cost of imported products, is constantly being contested whenever Dangote reduces the price of his products? We should not forget that Dangote also imports his crude oil. He imports some of his feedstock. So why is the landing cost of the refined product being affected by the cost of the product ex refinery by the importers? Why are they complaining? It is simply because they were actually importing products and selling it to Nigerians at a very high margin because the government was paying them subsidies. Now we're having a real reflection of what the market looks like, and they are complaining. Please, just as Donald Trump says, drill, baby, drill, Dangote, continue crashing the prices.
Mr. Brown, the Petron members are also Nigerians, and they've said, look, their businesses are suffering, they're incurring losses, and they need a sort of stability to protect their businesses. And they will also claim that the landing prices have reduced because of the global price of oil. It's dropped to about $70 US for Brent crude. How do you respond to that?
Of course, there is nowhere where the prices of petroleum products are pegged. Prices of petroleum products are determined by market forces. If there is a glut in the market, it affects the pricing. If there is a drop in the supply of crude oil in the market, of course it affects the pricing, and it also affects the domestic pricing of refined products. So these are market dynamics. It's world over. It's a standard practice. The pricing of refined petroleum products anywhere is not pegged, is not fixed. But you don't need to blame Nigerians so much. Nigerians are used to having the prices of product pegged for a period. That's what Nigerians are used to. And the reason is because of the subsidy that was in place. So the subsidy shows up the differentials in pricing over a period. And whenever the PPRA, as they used to be at the time, feels that they cannot bear that bulk anymore, they now pass the price down to the people. But today, with what we're seeing and what we're experiencing, it shows that actually the subsidy was a scam. Money was just being changed hands. That was what was going on. And thank God we had a president that had the guts to terminate that regime, that fraudulent regime. And you can really see who the receivers of the subsidies are. You can see them beginning to cry now. What I know is that the price of the product in the foreseeable future will not get to 500 naira. It cannot go below 500 naira. I don't see it happening so soon. I don't see that happening so soon.
So what range do you think we should be expecting? What range do you expect the price to be within? And for those who ask for some form of stability, a price stability for a number of months, do you agree with that argument?
Say that again.
I was asking, you said you don't see it getting to 500 now. What range do you see the petrol price getting to? And what's your response to those who call for some form of price stability or price control that would ensure stability for a number of months to see how things turn out?
There cannot be price control in this industry anymore. The days of price control are gone. Let me speak like your president. The days of price control are gone. There cannot be price control anymore. It's only the market forces that determine of demand and supply, and the price of the commodity at the OPEC basket or in the spot market that will determine the pricing. However, the product will continue to fluctuate. Don't forget, a time will come that the price will also go high. It will also jack up. So let us enjoy it now that it is sliding, because the price of the product in the OPEC basket and in the spot market baskets will continue to go down because of the increase in production by the U.S. government. So these dynamics are going to force the price to continue to drop. So let's enjoy the party by enjoying the price of a less price of cheaper commodities as it is right now, because the time will come that it will also rise up slightly. So we cannot have that regime anymore of price control or ability over a period.
Now, just before we wrap up, if you can, in less than a minute, the latest foreign trade report shows that Nigeria's fuel imports surged by 105% in 2024. Does this signal a failure of local refining efforts or simply market adjustment? And also, why is it that sometimes imported PMS, like we see now, the importers are saying the landing cost is around 700 for them, is sometimes cheaper than locally refined fuel? Shouldn't the local production be more cost effective given proximity and reduced logistic costs?
Or the NNPCL, sorry, in this case, that is a private entity, should revert to that 6-month window of the Naira for Crude program. They said it was for 6 months and it has ceased. They should go back to it if they are really sincere that they want the price, the drop in price to impact Nigerians positively. But selling the crude in dollars for local refining, it does not really make sense. It doesn't make economic sense. How can you go to the market to buy garri in dollars from cassava that is produced in Nigeria? It's not rocket science. How can Nigerian refiners, local indigenous refiners, be importing crude oil that is produced in Nigeria in US dollars, when the PIA has already made provision for a certain quantity of our daily production to be set aside for domestic production? It is there in the PIA. So asking Nigerian producers, local producers, to buy these products in dollars is it's neither here nor there.
Judge Brown, thank you for joining us this morning on Breakfast Central. We certainly look forward to having you again.
Thank you.
And here we come to the end of today's show. Thank you for joining us, to our virtual audience as well, those joining us on YouTube. Thank you for joining us, those watching on GoTV, DSTV. Thank you for watching. We'll be back again same time tomorrow, but there are other shows that continue as soon as we exit the studio. I'm Olive Emodi, and I'll see you tomorrow.
And I'm Gyauro. Bye.
Bye.